Mexico, I apologize, at Cuba. But notice these brighter cloud tops. The storm is still intensifying despite the fact that the center finds itself on land. This is, I think, going to be a monster of a storm as it crosses the Gulf.
All right, I'm out here in the garage. It's Friday. Hurricane brewing in the Gulf, threatening us, and I'm going to try to get something done. We battened down the hatches, so I'm going to try to get something done on Christine. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the passenger side fender, and if you might remember, that's got on the top, it's got a little section that has corrosion, and I think when I was looking at it back in the sandblaster video, I didn't realize what it was. But I'm used to, I'm expecting a car to have a fender well that goes up and over and not the fender itself be the fender well. But that's the case with this, is that the fender itself actually gets hit by everything that's being splashed up. So that's why that passenger side fender is corroded, and that's why it's got the problem that it does. So I am going to take this fender off, and here's a spot right here that it's got corrosion. The pitting comes up to here, so it's all the way up here, up in this part. Now, while I'm definitely not going to replace this entire top section, I know I'm at least going to put a piece from maybe here to here. You know, what, maybe 10 inches or so here. And we'll see. This might be a spot repair and a spot repair. What I really need to do is I need to take the fender off the car, and it's just resting on it. I need to take it off the car and flip it over and then clean the underside of this, and then I'll know what it is that we need to do with this. So with the hurricane threat outside, it's got 2 days until landfall. We're ready to go, so I'm out here just trying to keep my head clear, and I'm gonna do some work. Here goes nothing. Well, I was hoping to get it down to clean metal to where it would actually be silver and shiny, and you can see, oh, okay, here's all the corrosion. But I don't know if this is the undercoating, but it's like black, and it's gumming up all of my, I've tried various different kinds of discs and wheels, and it's just gumming them all up. But this is as clean as I can get it. I've wiped it down with a little bit of old gasoline, and I've got like a pit here and a pit here. A little bit of speckling in here. I don't think that's going to go too much further if I protect it. And then there's a hole here and a hole here. I'm pretty sure that I'm going to do these in 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to probably do this as 1, 1, and maybe 1. I don't think there's any need to really get into this. But starting from here, yeah, I've got a problem. So this is going to be the big patch, is to go maybe from here, maybe a 3 or 4 inch wide section, and I'll probably come all the way back to catch all these pinholes. There's some pinholes right in here, there, and it's shining light all the way through. So it's probably good solid metal here, there. That's a reasonable size patch. It's not in a crazy complex shape of the fender. I don't know, let's get a straight edge and see what that looks like. And it ought to show a concave, if anything. Man, it's so slight. It's teeny, teeny, tiny. It probably, from this side, for all intents and purposes, that's more or less straight. So it's not a compound curve, which is good. It makes it easier. So on this side, let's see. Nah, that's straight as can be. That's flat. That's flat. So within this section, what I'm replacing, it's about a foot. Yeah. Maybe less than that, again, 10 inches maybe, I think would get it. So if I cut that piece in, this is straight this way, so now it's just a matter of curving it this side and curving it the other side. So that ought to be pretty easy. That ought to be one piece without a splice in the middle of it, and I just need to be very careful about how I make these bends. And full confession, I don't have a metal brake. So I've got pieces of steel that I use to pretend like I have a metal brake, and so that's what I'm going to try to do. Is I'm going to try to bend this, but I think I'll be able to get it close, and let's see how it comes out. All right, so I got the piece grinded. It's cut. I cut it as a rectangle, and I maybe should have made it a little bit wider because I'm realizing that you get two different lines of action. You got this line, which is the crown of the fender, and then the hood edge tapers away from that. So there's a curve. You can see it's pronounced at the end of the fender, so there's a curve here, and then it comes up and crowns over, and there's a little bit of a ridge right here, and then it curves down uniformly down the side of the fender. So all down this side of the fender, it's a uniform curve. So I drew a straight edge down the center of this patch, and I know that from that point this way, it's a uniform curve. But on this other side, the curve, the belly of the curve is a little, it's at an angle to that first one. So what I did is I drew just some parallel lines just to kind of give me some frame of reference of where I'm at. I'm going to start bending this piece, and I'll stop when I get it to where it rests right on top of the fender and sits there like it's just a second layer. So let's go ahead and get that done. Okay, when I said a minute ago I didn't have a metal brake, I wasn't exactly being completely truthful. These are the few pieces of metal that I was referring to that are cobbled together as if they were a metal brake. It's not a very good one. I made this a little while ago and I'm not very proud of it, but it's okay. Anyway, but it did work to bend the metal that I wanted. So this is the rear trailing edge, and you can see the curve. And here's the forward edge. You can see the curve. It's got a crown. And the crown follows the line. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to trim it back to this line, because I really don't need to replace that much metal, and this is getting into a complicated curve on the fender. So if I can stay out of it, I'd rather do that. So I'm going to trim this back and bring it to the fender and show you how it lines up. So that's it. Sitting on the fender, sits pretty flush here. The curve, even though it's not clamped down, it's not tacked, but it's probably within a 1/16 all along that. So I'm pretty sure that I'll be able to get it to fit. Alongside, and this side's a little bit in that curve, even though I cut a sort of a straight edge, it's a little bit wonky. But I'll cut that in, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to grind this top of this fender down. So I'll grind all of this down, and then I will tack weld this in place, and I will cut this out as I'm relieving the new piece into the plane of the fender. And so we'll see if we can't do some time lapse on that as we do it. Hopefully it works. The time lapse, that is. I know this is going to work. All right. All right, there it is, tacked in place. You can see it. It's fitting really well. It's got a little bit of a curve this way here. It's got the ridge, the crown here. It's curving over this way into the fender. It's pretty flush on this side, flush all the way around. It's not perfect, but I'm hoping that I can get it to really fine tune and get in, but I think it's close enough for what I need to do to set it in place. So now I'm going to take the cutting wheel, and I'm going to cut the edges in and do the Fitzy's cut and butt method. Fitzy's Fabrications, what an incredible site. Great guy from Newfoundland. So glad they found his channel on YouTube. Many props to him. The camera keeps getting interrupted because of the National Weather Service alerts that keep popping up. It's saying, warning, there's a hurricane 2 days away. Yeah, we know. We get it. It's cut in, it's tack welded. It's got a little bit of fitment issues, a little tiny bit right here where the replacement piece is a little higher than lower than the fender. It's pretty flush all the way around. This is pretty good. That's pretty good. Pretty good here. And there's a little bit here where I haven't yet welded it, but this is bent up a little bit and that's down, so it's just right there. That's about it. But all of this, the replacement piece might be a little bit higher. I think I can tack that down though as I'm going. I think I'll be able to get it close. But Hurricane Ida update. They just released a new weather report. And unfortunately, now they're forecasting the hurricane to be Category 4 when it makes landfall. We just can't get a break. Anyway, so I might have to put this down, do a little bit more, and we might actually be evacuating. We don't know. Ridiculous. So stay tuned.
Itself on land. This is, I think, going to be a monster of a storm as it crosses the Gulf of Mexico. As I said, it doesn't have a whole lot of time. We're looking at it moving into the Gulf later tonight, kind of during the overnight period, and then by Sunday evening already inland. So it will be moving at a fairly decent clip. We would like to see this increase, if at all possible. It's at 15 miles an hour. We certainly don't want to see it slow down. We would like to see this continue to move as fast as possible and get it in and out of here as quickly as possible. But we are looking.
All right, well, I continued welding a little bit. I'm understandably a little mentally flustered, but I'm going to keep going for a little bit. I've got it all flush all the way around. It's got a really good shape. It's a really good fitting patch. You can, in the reflection, you can see the ridge. You can see the ridge down the line. So it's fitting in really, really well. So I'm going to grind this down, and then I'll go ahead and I'll continue spot welding. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do it in a stitch. So I'm going to spot, and then come back. And then come back again and again until everything is uniform. Just trying to keep the heat dissipated. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and come back to you. There it is, welded all the way around the perimeter, and it's spot welded. Looks like, it's a Gorilla weld, but it's not warped. I'm going to go ahead and grind this down, and it's going to reveal maybe a handful of pinholes. I'm predicting I've got one here, maybe in a few spots that I can see. But right now I'm just going to go ahead and get this grinded down, and then I'll take a good look at it and see where we're at. But it's almost done. It's almost done. Let me go ahead and grind that. All right, last look. There it is. So I'm very pleased with it. Got it sanded down, blended it in really well. Let me zoom back a little bit. Too far. Blends in really well. A little low spot over here and a little low spot over here. Like I said before, I tried to dolly them up and only had moderate success. I can feel and I can see that this whole panel is probably trending a little low, and it kind of bumps up and it trends low. So it'll do really, really well with body filler. So when I get body filler on this, you will never, ever, ever see this. I had to weld the backside, and I haven't grinded that yet. But I had to weld the backside all the way around in order to get proper penetration. I got much better penetration, I could tell, because it was beating through to this side. So I changed the heat settings on my machine. I went from, there's 4 voltage settings, so I put it on number 3 and sped up the wire a little bit. And that seemed to have a better success. But I was able to do that, I think, because I already had base material welded on the top side. So when I went from the back side, it wasn't like I was trying to fill a gap or had the initial cut, in which case it's really easy to blow through. I'm getting much better at the welds because this particular panel, I think I had blow through in maybe 2 spots, one here and then maybe one over here, and other than that I had nothing. So I'm really pleased with that. That's a relief to be able to weld without blowing through this sheet metal. Okay, well, like I said, there's literally a hurricane brewing in the Gulf right now, Hurricane Ida. They just changed the forecast. My wife came out here and told me that they changed the forecast from a Category 3 to a Category 4 at landfall. So I need to go inside and go watch the news and make a decision as to whether or not we want to hang around and ride it out, or if we want to run and evacuate. We'll see. So, indecision. It's like we gotta pick a direction and go with it, and live with that.
Huge difference on the impact you see. It's 385 miles southeast of the river right now, and as I mentioned, it is continuing to intensify. It will likely intensify throughout the entire day. It's got about 36 more hours over these hot temperatures in the Gulf of Mexico, and the shear is going to be relatively low. So there's the track. Let me leave you with this. We'll see about, so we've got a Category 4 hurricane off the coast by Sunday afternoon. Conditions will start to go downhill off the coast later tonight. By tomorrow afternoon, late morning into the afternoon, getting bad down here along the coast, and then most of the worst impacts inland will start in the evening and go through Monday morning. So this will be.
So anyway, again, as I say always, I really do appreciate your time. I appreciate everyone's care and concern. I thank you for the positive comments, for the well wishes, for the encouragement. It's a little stressful today to do this, but I think this will probably be the last bit of work I get done this weekend, at least on the car. I think I need to turn my attention to more critical things with the storm brewing. But anyway, if you like the videos, I do appreciate a thumbs up. And if you really are liking the channel, I'd appreciate a subscription. It helps keep it going. So anyway, wish us luck. Probably see you on the other side. Cheers.